Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a Cloudy Sheep and we are playing Fate of the World. Just at the end of last turn we set up all of our laws and initiatives in Europe and North America, all of that, as you can see over here. So we are now ready to hit the next turn button and we are going to do that, so let's see what's going on. Expected temperatures are decreasing a little bit, but the current temperature is of course still increasing, and indeed we have reached 1.5 degrees of warming over pre-industrial levels, so that means an increase in disasters and permanent regional change. We also see, and this is very discerning, that the global oil production is peaking. So we now see that there's actually less oil production than there was before, and that is a big issue. We also see that forced migration is starting. So it's now 2040 and that's pretty bad. On the other hand, we do see that there's fourth generation nuclear breakthrough. So scientists in Japan, the ones that we tasked with researching energy alternatives, have announced the commercial implementation of fourth generation fast breeder and thorium nuclear power reactors, allowing for much greater efficiency, 100 times, in uranium usage. So that is incredibly important. A little bit less important to me is CCS, so carbon capture and sequestration technology is also been researched in Japan. So these are good news though. So let's briefly look at the annual emissions over here. North American emissions are falling by quite a bit. Chinese emissions are falling, which is extremely important. India is seemingly catching up a little bit, by 20% actually, so that is discerning. On the other hand, how do people like us? No change in Europe or North America, neither in Japan. Oceania is fine still. Everyone seems to be doing alright, except maybe Latin America, where it fell a little bit, but it's not too bad. So, overall, oil production is peaking. That is a problem, and that is a problem that we'll need to fix in the Middle East, because, let's briefly have a look at the data again. So, overall, in terms of oil production, you can see that the currently available reserves are 3.2 million terawatt hours, so that is this bit over here. So this is the conventional oil that is recoverable under our current technology. There's more oil that is conventional but not yet recoverable. It's about 5 million. So let's keep these two numbers in mind. 3.3 million oil and 5 million are recoverable. Of that, how much is in the Middle East? Let's have a look over here in oil. So you can see that of the, I think it was 3.3 conventional oil, 3.3 million conventional oil terawatt hours, 2.1 are actually in the Middle East, and 2.2, so nearly half of the rest, is also in the Middle East. So really, like 2/3, a half of the oil is that is in the world is over here. You can see that also over here, this 2.1 million. There's a little bit more in North America, about 1/3, a little bit in Russia, but not much anywhere else. There are, however, tar sands and shale oil, so these are things that could be recovered potentially, and very little in the Middle East, but somewhat more significant values in North America. And that is of course the shale oil revolution. So that is something that we do need to deal with on a global level, and of course the implementation of that is going to happen in the Middle East. So let's have a look at the Middle East then. Let's, as always, start out by the news over here. So we do see that there are climate refugees. Are they coming in actually? No, not really. I think you are leaving actually, aren't you? Yeah, so not that many. We do see that they have gotten access to advanced drilling, so we actually shared that technology from North America, Europe to over here, and that will help a lot, because that means we can increase the drilling activities over here, and that is indeed very important. On the other hand, we do see that there's more drought happening, nationalism. Yeah, you have some climate immigrants. You're consumerist or denialist. You're actually materialist. Peace reigns, water stress. So that's bad, but this over here is very good. So drilling advances spur fossil fuel production. As you can see over here, there's a little bit more initial deep gas production. That's not quite as important. But plus 5% recoverable oil, plus 10% oil production. So indeed, we are already addressing the things that we do need to address. Now, I forgot about what was going on over here. Drought. Okay, so we do need to deal with the drought. Let's improve the drought defenses. And I think you also said something about water stress, didn't you? Maybe not? Oh yeah, duh. Oh yeah, over here. So yeah, there is water stress. I think we are going to build the enhanced water infrastructure, and that should be alright. We could... Ooh, we also... if you can select the job sharing initiative, that does mean that there's a little bit of unemployment going on, but it's not that bad. And you're actually content and stable, so I think we don't need to support them extremely. We could increase the higher education. That would be very, very useful actually, to boost their productivity. But all in all, I think one of the most important bits here might be on the energy tab to expand the oil production. Means the max production is a little bit higher, the recoverable reserves are going to go up. This does mean higher emissions, and one of our targets is of course the reverse of that. And it is pretty expensive, but you know, I think we have to deal with this. We do need some oil to get over the crisis. All in all, our emissions I think are still going up probably. They've stabilized, so this is where the game started in 2020. They've stabilized at a slightly lower level, and you can see that there's a certain shift between regions. I think this one is India that is expanding. Yeah, India is expanding its role. On the other hand, China, you know, is stabilizing, so a couple of things are going well over here. But all in all, just stabilizing will not be enough. We need to actually reduce them. But for now, that means using bridge technologies, and oil is actually one of those. Specifically, as we are continuing, I think we're going to actually start with this, as we're continuing to decline the coal power in China. As we should be able to see over here on the electricity tab, the coal mix seems to be going down more and more. Yeah, that's fantastic news. They started out using a lot of coal, 15,000 terawatt hours, but they are now using a lot of oil, and that of course means that, you know, we are putting more stress on the demand over here, so there is an issue in that. Climate refugees, anti-drought efforts are going on well. Chinese technology is going on. Major efficiency drive in the industry, that is also very, very nice to see. Right, so everything is good in China over here. We could think about business and household carbon recs, but I don't think the energy usage in China is focused on the commercial and industrial residential areas. As you can see over here, of the 23,000 terawatt hours, most of that really goes into industry. So it's important for us to keep the industrial regs going. It's important to decline the coal power in the energy generation. I don't think it makes too much sense to, in the industry, also decline the power, the coal use, because again, that is still mostly focused on using on using technology that isn't quite as good. Now, what I would like to do in China then is to use nuclear power. Nuclear power is very, very helpful, especially fourth generation nuclear power that we've just researched. So what I want to do is acquire CCS, which, as you can see over here, is a requirement to acquire fourth generation nuclear technology. So first you need to get this, then you can get that. And actually both of these things have been researched right now. So this turn we are going to acquire CCS, and we are also going to ask China to commit to nuclear power. That is spending a lot of money on just one country. As you can see, we are applying 250 megabuck cards over here, but then again, you know, China is such an important market. Right, so let's go to the first world countries, which are actually mostly funding. We should actually have a look at our funding. So China is coming up. Europe is also coming up, so that's nice to see. North America is going down a little bit comparatively. So let's have a look at North America. El Nino disrupts monsoon, so more droughts happening. Gas contamination to the water table, that's not good. But somewhat lower emissions in the industry. somewhat more effective household carbon use. So that's good to see, and the tech is booming. Now, can we do something about the monsoons? Do we have good drought defenses? We actually have fantastic drought defenses. So if you remember well, there's a basic defense, as you can see, for storms over here, for $10. Then there's an intermediate defense for 25, and then you have this last piece. This one needs to keep running for a long time. It just doesn't stop. The other ones are, you pay $10, it lasts 5 years, and then you have a little bit better defenses. With this, you have to continuously adapt, and that will be outpaced. So I don't think it's necessarily that important to change that. Last thing, I would like to check the emissions over here for the transport sector. It's still about 1,000 megatons of CO2. Which is somewhat high, but it's about half of what it was when we started the game. So at some point soon we might think about dropping this this technology over here. How long will it last for you to get 4th generation nuclear? Oh, you're gonna get that next turn anyway, so we don't need to invest in it. That I think I like very, very much. But we could actually probably see what's going on over here. Yeah, over 60 years, and there's 100 times uranium efficiency improvement. And I think North America is actually one of the regions that is using a somewhat higher uranium mix of 14%. You know what, let's do a very quick tour to see who else is using a lot of nuclear. Europe actually is. China is not for now. No one else really seems to be using nuclear. Well, Japan. Yeah, but no one else does. So that's fine. Yeah, North America should really make the switch, but it's gonna do that on its own, so that's fine. You are researching infotech. That means quantum computing and super tensile materials. So that I like to see. You know what? All in all, this is good. I'm slightly worried about the El Nino phenomenon, but we have built up some defenses, so I think that's going to be alright. Over here in Europe, the eco campaign. So us trying to change the outlook from consumerist to something more balanced is going on well. You're not wasting anything. You have adapted the forest treaty. Let me take a brief note of that. Grassland management has increased. Peace reigns. That's nice to see. Strong advances. I don't think you have any climate refugees yet. Nope. So yeah, all in all that looks pretty good. We could actually also check the emissions. Is there still a significant emission coming from the transport sector? Yeah, there is. It hasn't decreased quite as much as in North America, so I think we need to keep this running for now. I definitely want to keep the business and household regs running. Eco-awareness is fine. We could probably think about switching this out. Is there anything in particular that we would want to have over here that people would like to see? Do you want to acquire CCS? I'm half of a mind to do so that we are getting 4th generation nuclear a little bit quicker, because that would maybe be somewhat helpful. Yeah, okay, so let's do this. Let's get over to Japan, where all of this has been researched. Breakthroughs, droughts have been defended very well. Yeah, some nuclear proliferation, but that we have to live with. This is a stable place. So that should be alright. I don't think your water management needs to be helped. Water stress 17%. Anything else? I mean, of course, your population is growing old a little bit too fast, but we actually have the possibility to do one-child policy. How does your population look like? Can I get access to that? I think it's under HDMI. No, it's probably under population. So yeah, population is declining. The number of children is increasing a little bit, so I think it's not going to be too bad. Right, so let's simply do something a little bit popular over here. I think the adaptation to floods and storms is always a good choice. Oceania, everything is stable, so that's good to see. Major efficiency drive in industry. Why are we doing that? We really should check that. Tech booming, peace reigns, smart grids researched, and more storms coming. So definitively let's try to... We'd only have to adapt to storms. I don't think that's necessarily a very good idea. We could protect the forests. I think this is actually what I wanted to do, not the industrial carbon recs, because the personal ones do increase our popularity, so I think that might be the better choice. And I think what we might also want to do is tax these people a little bit. So let's reintroduce the Tobin tax over here just for one round. I don't think we're going to keep it up much longer than that, but at least that should be helpful. Let's see what India's up to. Only negative things, of course. Refugee seekers, air pollution, austerity progress, cancer, water stress. Yeah. Okay, let's briefly check the population over here. So how does it look? How is our one-child policy treating things? So yeah, the number of children is going down. That I very much like to see. Of course, the number of working age adults is still growing as these people over here get to adulthood. But all in all, I think we are still going to keep it up for a little while. I don't think India has ratified the... No, it has actually. It has ratified the soil advances. So let's try to get eco-awareness a little bit more into India, so that we get them out from the materialistic outlook. Improved storm defenses, I think, would be helpful. On the other hand, over here, I did think I saw a job sharing initiative, and actually your sickness is, your unemployment is unacceptably high at 29%. So, but your stability is even, so I appreciate that. Let's do job sharing. It's very, it's not that costly. It does help to reduce the unemployment. And that is definitively helpful. In terms of energy, I think we are fine. We could potentially acquire smart grids. That does mean you'd be using a lot less energy, and I don't think you'll ever acquire it on your own. And some GDP increase might actually also be nice. On the other hand, we could also decline the coal power usage in, I think, or if we have a look at the toxicity, can we see that over here? Yeah, that is a problem. So toxicity is due to mainly the fuel toxic value index, and that is mainly, I think, due to energy production over here. And energy production is mostly going into industry, and it's mostly coal based. So that is an issue, and I think it might make sense to decline coal power over here, just so that we are decreasing the baseline reasoning for their unhealthy situation. Right, so India's been dealt with. We've had a look at the first world. Let's have a look at Latin America. You are unstable and outraged, actually. But the eco campaign is working. You are reducing the emissions for organic soil, so that's nice to see. Storms are an issue over here, so let's see whether we can improve storm defenses. Indeed, we don't have any yet, so let's do this and switch that out, and I think that's going to be alright. Russia, you are unstable, but I think last time you were very unstable, so that's good to see. And apparently our drought and flood defenses do work, so That is also very good. Shouldn't do adaptation though. Medical welfare might be alright. Have you acquired deep drilling? You have not. And it would take 12 years. So I think deep drilling might be nice over here because you do produce some oil reserves. So I think it might be good if we acquire that. Other than that, we probably want to just increase your stability all in all. Water use, energy use. Water management I don't think is that critical in Russia. I think the water stress is at 4%. Yeah, it's very, very low. So it might make the most sense to actually run the forest thing because you haven't ratified that. And you know what? The business and household carbon regs are probably fine. Do you use any energy in your... Yeah, I mean residential and commercial sectors are outstripping industry, so, and this is a popular move, so we might as well do it. Let's go to South Asia then, which is starting to become a more significant emitter with very low technology, but the situation all in all is stabilizing. You're at even. You don't like the forest the forest legislation, but I think you'll just have to swallow that. Higher education I think might be probably the best choice. It will also decrease the birth rate just by a little bit, but that should be fine. Northern Africa then, very unstable still. General strikes, water stress, but some positive things are happening as well. So I don't think we can do much about the water stress anymore. How does it look though? Yeah, 44%. What's causing that? But it's going down, so that's nice to see. But where's the water demand coming from? I think it's this one. No. Oh no, it was that one. Sorry. So really, agricultural water use is dominating over here in Northern Africa. So we might maybe use biochar. That would reduce the water usage. So I think that might be a good choice. We could also think about the vegetarian revolution. Where is it? Oh, it's a project, I think. Or at least discourage meat production. But yeah, I think biochar is maybe more appropriate now. Also need to provide security assistance, which is very expensive, but it's simply something that can't be done without. And I think, what's your unemployment situation like? 16%, which is not extremely bad. So I think I would like to do educational enrollment simply because that will address the underlying issues a little bit. You're unstable, which I think I can live with. General strikes, advancing at the crawl. Waiting lists are still so bad that I want to keep out the medical welfare program. At least for a turn, I don't think we need much more. Right. South Africa, you have not committed to land protection yet. We have not completed our storm defenses over here at all. But your water stress is really low as well. So higher education, eco-awareness, all very good choices, but I think the forest protection, at least to get you to sign up, would be nice. And you know what? With all of this money, I think we can... Let's go for the Tobin tax for one turn, and let's try to squeeze in a little bit more at some point. Let's have a look at the world and where our agents are actually placed and whether that is still appropriate. So lots of people working in North America, some working in Europe, lots of activity in China, some in India, maybe Southeast Asia or South Asia actually deserves a little bit more attention. And I should also briefly check the stability over here. So it's only very unstable in North Africa, very stable over here, unstable, restrictive actually. So yeah, only North Africa is an issue. So Latin America or South Asia. You're 9% of emissions, you're 8% of emissions. You're 10% of population, you're 9%. So actually very, very closely matched, but your GDP is much, much lower. So I think spending a little bit more over here might actually be justified. Let's have a brief look at what we could do actually. I should have probably checked that before. And I think we're gonna buy drought defenses over here just because that will help us in the future. And you know what, we do have some more money. Is there anything that we would want to buy over here? Eco-awareness maybe? Let's do so. That does leave us at a somewhat awkward $49. Is there anything more expensive that we would like to do in some place or another? Do we want to get more technology down here in the Middle East? I mean, GDP and emissions are pretty high. Did we acquire smart grids over here? We did not. So you know what? Let's not do the eco-awareness thing in India. Let's do acquire the smart grids. That's going to reduce our emissions slightly. It's better use of our money, and I think that's going to be alright. So we do have a couple of minutes left, so I think it is time to take this turn. See the world headlights. Predicted temperatures are coming down a little bit. Actual temperatures are rising still, 1.7 degrees, so that's not nice. Also, more Arctic methane is being released, so that's not good. Oil production is on the rise again, so that's very nice. So for now, that's alright. More forced migration, and here we are. Oceania has actually discovered the second generation biofuels to a commercial level, so that's very nice. And we have something that will be very helpful in the near future: stratospheric aerosol breakthrough. So the geoengineering research project has come up a little bit with items that we could put up into the atmosphere that would be cheap but highly controversial technique to reflect the sun rays back into space, and that is really one of the most important early technologies. Let's have a look. North America, you're decreasing your usage. China, you're stable, but we expected you to decrease. India, you are coming up. The Middle East is coming up. Middle East and India is starting to become a little bit of a problem, and Latin America is somewhat stable but alright. People all in all like us, but Oceania did go down a little bit, which is to be expected due to the Tobin tax that we placed there. I don't really want to go below 4 hearts, so I think what we have to do is in Oceania get rid of the Tobin tax, and that is going to give us a very realistic view on our funding, which I realize is not that great anymore. On the other hand, we are seeming to get a little bit more money from some of these places, so that at least is good. Anyway, I think this is a very nice place to put in a cut, so I will see you guys next time, and I look forward to discovering the world in 2045. And I think at 2050 we'll look at the world in a bit of a broader view and briefly check how things are going and how the countries progress in the very first 30 years. So thank you very much for watching, and to see you again next time. Bye bye.